In order to save his best friend and prevent her from being eaten by zombies, a young man must battle dangerous gangs and strange creatures. The 2019 television series Daybreak's first season will be reviewed in this article. Josh Wheeler struggles to survive in the metropolis of Glendale, California, where nearly everyone over the age of 18 has transformed into ghoulies, or zombies. All of the young people have gained unlimited freedom and have begun robbing homes and businesses to survive. Animals have also undergone mutations and are now getting scarier, much like humans. After the biological nuclear bombs detonated 6 months ago, various tribes were formed with the intention of settling the area. A few of them pose a greater threat than the ghoulies. Josh makes the decision to enter the chapel to assist the girl after hearing her cry one day as he skateboards through the city. When he arrives, the golf team from his former school is there and has a young girl confined inside a trunk. Josh chooses to face the bullies and draws his sword to attack them, thinking that this is his best friend, Sam. Terry starts to make fun of the young man and declares that he would never be able to fight them on his own when he notices that he is armed. Then, enraged, Josh decides to use his sword to sever his foe's finger. His katana becomes trapped in the man's hand as he misses his intended target. The other gang members assault Josh after learning that their leader has been attacked, but Josh repels them and captures Terry. The young man asks Sam to flee while he fights the criminals, and is shocked to learn that the person confined in the trunk is his old neighbor, Angelica. He releases Terry and departs, frustrated that he hasn't found Sam even after searching for 6 months. Angelica decides to follow him because she has no idea where to go, and they both encounter a samurai. Josh prepares to fight him with his katana when he realizes that he is Wesley, a supporter of classic films and a player on the school's American soccer team. The player now describes himself as a pacifist and says he is atoning for the crimes he perpetrated in a previous life. Wesley shares that he's heard tales that Sam has been spotted in the city's mall when he learns that Josh is seeking for Sam. Turbo's gang is located nearby, and they have a practice of holding talent shows for their inmates. A trap door opens, and the individual is tossed into an area with ghoulies if the boss doesn't like the music. Fortunately, the singer is able to flee and makes an attempt to escape, but Turbo doesn't give up pursuing him and eventually takes him down with the aid of a missile. He then gives the order for his troops to work with the golf team to find Josh. He decides to swing by his apartment to get some supplies before heading to the mall, and Angelica asks him how he knows Sam is still alive. Then Josh claims that on the day the bombs occurred, Sam left a post-it note for his friend wondering where he was. Josh made a commitment that he would keep looking for the girl because he is so in love with her, and he has been doing so ever since. When the group of 3 hears the sound of approaching automobiles, they rush to the young man's apartment and begin hurling rocks at the window. The trio responds to the attack and launches blood bags towards the opposing army in an effort to defend themselves. At that precise moment, dozens of ghoulies attack the thieves who were attempting to kidnap Josh. The tribes are forced to withdraw and run as soon as they see a number of their allies being eaten. The 3 teenagers seize the chance to leave through the back entrance and disperse to reach the mall. While Wesley and Angelica start the business, Josh is still being hunted and tries to fend off his assailants. A ghoulie suddenly comes to consume them, but Josh shows up just in time and stabs the woman in the back with his sword. She hurriedly flees after realizing she has been harmed, and Baron Triumph then appears. Nobody is certain of the biker's true identity, but they are all terrified of him. Fortunately, the kids recognize that this is a tacky impersonation of the biker when the villain approaches and takes off his mask. Eli deftly poses as Baron Triumph to fend off the gangs and avoid getting captured while moving about the city. That is how he was able to seize control of the entire mall without any resistance. The issue arises when the real Baron Triumph appears, and Eli quickly unlocks the mall so that the other teenagers and himself can flee. The party flees for shelter as the biker attempts to demolish the gates, but Eli tricks them and traps Josh and Angelica inside one of the shops. The young man makes an effort to drive away the customers since he doesn't want to share his mall with anybody else. Wesley, who is still outdoors, is pleading with Eli to release his buddies. The young man wants to handle the conflict amicably, but is unable to assault him because he has chosen to become a pacifist. Josh and Angelica are still in captivity in the meantime, and they quickly learn that they are being held within a witch that eats men. Together, they are able to trap the monster after luring it to a different store. Josh attempts to interact with the monster and discovers that it is his old friend, Miss Crumble. Unlike the other ghoulies, Miss Crumble can still speak regularly despite having lost her sanity. She claims she can assist Josh when she overhears him discussing leaving that ward. She now twists her jaw and opens a massive mouth. She then gives Josh the instruction to grab the key while sticking his arm inside her. He intends to leave the mall after he is freed to continue looking for Sam. But when he opens the door, the woman he used his sword on attacks him. Angelica, who is terrified, runs for assistance. Shortly after, Eli shows up and takes down the ghoulies before Josh is assaulted. He's only willing to assist, though, because Eli needs the young man's assistance to thwart Baron Triumph's attempt to break in. But when the biker finally succeeds in unlocking the elevator, Miss Crumble is the one to assault him and successfully scare him into fleeing. After the threat has passed, Eli consumes his own poison and is imprisoned, exactly as he had planned to do to Josh and his companions. Wesley makes the decision to keep this man away, since he is aware that he cannot be trusted and does not want to run the danger of being attacked at night. When Josh uses the restroom, he finds that he has been bitten. He resolves to hack off his own arm with his sword in an effort to avoid turning into a monster. By missing his intended victim, he ends up chopping off his own finger. Josh learns that, unlike zombies, ghoulies don't infect their victims when Angelica goes to investigate her friend's screams. The witch prepares a finger sandwich and can finally consume human flesh. A crow interrupts her breakfast before she can finish it and takes it. Josh contracts an infection after amputating a limb, and it spreads throughout his body. Even so, he is steadfast in his resolve to leave the house and search for Sam, but his own body betrays him and causes him to pass out before he even leaves the mall. When Josh wakes up, he discovers that his buddies have gone to get him antibiotics, and that he is actually laying on a bed inside a furniture store. Crumble abruptly shows up by his side and declares to be quite hungry. He is now attacked by the woman who ties him to the bed with a strap. After a short drive, Angelica and Wesley arrive at the pharmacy, where the girl blows up the medication cabinet to get the prescriptions. Josh is still restrained and asleep as Crumble considers a means to eat without having to get rid of Josh. The woman notices some worms on a tray and gets an idea. She inserts the young man's palm into a bowl of those maggots. Wesley and Angelica had just picked up their prescription and are getting ready to head back to the mall when they notice that the drugstore is surrounded by ghouls. They are ready to fight right away but are shocked to see someone battling the beasts. They encounter the Chermazons, a group of young ladies who have united to survive the end of the world after leaving the store. Angelica's old friend Demi, the gang leader, extends an invitation for her to join her group, but she declines. She tells Wesley on the way home that she wants to found her own tribe, and that in order to do that, they must persuade Josh to stop hunting for his loves. Angelica chooses to stage Sam's demise after persuading Wesley that this is the best course of action to keep his friend from being gobbled up by the ghoulies. Josh is shocked to find himself still alive when he awakens and expresses gratitude to Crumble for not eating him. The ghoulie then reveals that in order to stop the infection from spreading, she employed the worms to eat the bacteria present around his finger. By doing so, it can feed on the necrotic tissue that the larvae have consumed, in addition to assisting the young man in surviving. Once again meeting up with his buddies that morning, Josh is devastated to learn that Sam has passed away. Angelica only needed to discover the body of a blonde woman and alter her appearance so that Josh wouldn't be able to identify her, because she already had a brooch that was the same as the girl's. Then, when he noticed the brooch on her clothing, the young man thought it was Sam, and Angelica had finally created the tribe she had long yearned for. Wesley joins Josh as they pursue Baron Triumph for retribution after Josh concludes that he is responsible for Sam's death. The swordsman, who felt bad for misleading his friend, wants to prevent him from doing a wrongdoing, and makes an effort to get lost so he won't find the motorcyclist. Wesley has him run all around the city under the pretense that they are being pursued by ghoulies until they are ultimately encircled by a gang. Larry decides to pick up the approaching talking teddy bear when it suddenly appears. He unintentionally sets off a device that results in an explosion by doing this. When they learn Baron Triumph is there, his head is ripped off at that very time, and everyone runs away. Josh is struck, becomes unconscious, and upon awakening discovers that he is in a factory. Wesley discovers that his friend had a master key hidden inside his phony finger while he is locked in another cage and is relieved. Following his release, the young man discovers that his key has been damaged and turns to a factory worker girl for assistance in locating the location where the biker conceals the keys. Josh encounters Jaden Hoyles, a student from his school, while searching for a means to release his friend. It is at this point that Josh discovers Baron Triumph is on the way. He immediately hides and is shocked to see the mask come off the most dangerous bad guy in that post-apocalyptic planet, because he learns that this man is his school's principal. Even worse, the boy learns that Michael only eats human flesh, and if Josh couldn't distract the director to rescue him, Jaden would be his next meal. The young man then knocks him to the ground and flees for cover. Michael pursues him right away, but Josh is able to encircle the cannibal. But rather than killing him, the young man simply takes his collection of keys and imprisons the director in a cereal-making machine. He then releases all the convicts and brings them to the mall to join his tribe as new members. The only person who was not set free was Turbo, who was left behind in the factory until Wesley came to free him. The two started dating in high school but broke up when Turbo turned into a despot. After reminiscing about the past, the man orders Wesley to kill Josh and threatens to attack the mall and kill any other survivors if the young man doesn't comply. Wesley discovers a secret camera in the workplace and learns that Eli was spying before rejoining the group. Furious, he carries the young guy outside the structure and uses a radio to call the ghouls, but Wesley is able to bring Eli back inside just in time to avoid being eaten. Eli makes numerous attempts to get rid of Josh now that he knows his life will be in danger if he isn't, but Wesley is constantly on the watch to save his friend. But after much deliberation about what would happen to all the tribe members, they both decided that killing Josh was the right thing to do because it would save the lives of the others. Because they think Josh will be chosen as the party's king, they poison the crown as everyone gets ready for a joyous ball. Wesley agrees to be the DJ while the party is going on, and the voting for the next king is finished when the party is over. Wesley becomes anxious as the outcome is about to be disclosed in the next few minutes. The pacifist muses for a while before deciding to tell Josh the truth and confessing his love for Turbo. He claims that the two were in a relationship, but broke up after the man removed every male that approached Wesley out of jealousy. Josh was wearing headphones, so he was unable to hear his friend's admission. Wesley is startled to learn that he received the most votes when the party's king is named just then. The young guy enters the platform, having already accepted his lot in life, but decides to disclose the truth to everyone before being crowned. Wesley then announces that Turbo and his tribe are approaching and says he has a strategy for them to defend themselves. Josh and his comrades emerge from concealment and prepare an ambush to encircle their opponents when the lights go out, and the rival gang enters the mall. In the end, nobody was wounded, but Wesley's pals were left without food because the intruders took a lot of it. Josh resolves to arrest Wesley and Eli after learning of the betrayal because he knows they can't be trusted. The young man joins the group to brainstorm a plan to permanently get rid of Turbo because he is aware that he will never be left alone. When one of the young women who was saved from the factory overhears this, Karen, she decides to assist him and brings him to Arya Killigan's hideout. The player and her pals establish a combat squad, and as a group, they have grown to be one of California's most potent tribes. The girl learns that Michael fled when he saw the witch at the mall since he believed she had been eliminated, while Angelica and Crumble decide to pay a visit to feed the principal. He was romantically involved with Miss Crumble prior to the apocalypse, and when he sees her, the woman's animal impulses are awoken. She suddenly begins after Angelica and tries to eat her. Fortunately, the girl succeeds in getting away and shuts herself in the restroom. Arya and her crew attempt to capture Turbo that evening, but they are all caught. When Josh examines the image of the people in the background of the film and finds Sam is among them, the man gives him a message before destroying the final camera. After some time has passed, Angelica decides to leave the restroom and discovers that Crumble is not feeling well when she opens the door. Fearful cuts are developing on the woman's back as she begs for aid and begs forgiveness for trying to assault the girl. Angelica brings her back to the mall out of concern for her friend and attends to her wounds, but the woman claims to be in no way well. When the young woman encounters Josh while getting medicine for herself, she learns that he is already aware of the whole reality. Wesley was forced against a wall and forced to admit to staging the girl's death once the young man realized Sam was still alive. Josh and Eli are both ejected from the mall after he discovers that his best friends have played a joke on him, and Angelica decides to ally herself with the Chermazan tribe. When Crumble learns that the girl has vanished, she pursues her and, after a brief search on her bike, locates the warrior tribe's headquarters. The witch declares that she is there to accept the challenge while being immediately surrounded by a gang of armed women. She then succeeds in entering the lair. She sees Angelica at that very moment, but is unable to communicate with her. The first test is then mandated for all newcomers to participate in. This entails finding the single dish at the feast that hasn't been tainted. The first participants select a dish, nibble on it, then dash to the restroom. In the meantime, Crumble makes an attempt to attract Angelica's attention and succeeds in speaking with the young woman. They try to choose a dinner together, but the teacher decides that all the food is poisoned, so they both settle on drinking only water. They are able to go to the next phase in this fashion. The girls must use only their bare hands to exterminate ghouls dressed as Santa Claus in this stage. The competitors decide to work together to team up and successfully capture the monsters after losing one of their comrades. Crumble, on the other hand, rushes to protect Angelica and chases the creature away when one of them approaches her. Everyone discovers who she truly is as she begins licking a puddle of blood off the floor. The ghoulie is immediately put on trial, and Demi instructs the rookies to vote on whether or not to keep her alive. Everyone, with the exception of Angelica, agrees that Crumble should be gone in a herd effect. The girl decides to depart with her buddy rather than leave her behind, and as a result of her attitude, she is the only contestant to pass the final exam. Turbo has started acting oddly and has cut himself apart from the rest of his tribe since losing the battle against Josh. Even his devoted squire Mona has noticed that he is different. The young lady offers Michael his freedom and then makes the decision to seek the principal for assistance. He is required to help the pupils regain control of the situation by going back to the school. The principal enters the building right away and utilizes the megaphone to address his former students. Turbo becomes enraged at hearing Michael's voice and pursues him. Baron Triumph and Turbo start a vicious struggle right then, and Turbo gets to smack the director in the body with his axe. But rather than giving up the fight, Michael counterattacks, rendering the young man unable to stand. The old man now claims that his purpose in being back in the school is to reinstate the code of conduct, and that Turbo will be expelled for breaking it. Turbo was dumped that day along with the dead of everyone he had killed, but Wesley arrived to save him. Josh already has everything they need in his flat, so the young man brings his ex-boyfriend there. Eli arrives just as Josh is ready to wrap up his search strategy to get Sam out of that school with excellent news. The young man tells him that Sam is with Baron Triumph, who has taken over as the head of Turbo's group. Josh resolves to strike a bargain with Eli, even though he is eager to see Sam again and is concerned about what Eli might do to the rest of his tribe while he is away. Josh guarantees to get Eli a complete collection of magic cards if the young man agrees not to eject the other young people from the tribe. Josh knows that Eli is a collector of magic cards. Wesley asks his old buddy for assistance because he wants to help his hurt ex-boyfriend, and Angelica makes no effort to save him. She and Crumble cross the city to get to Josh's place, where the biology teacher treats Turbo's wounds with all her medical expertise. Michael decides to test a theory, while also trying to determine why the teenagers haven't transformed into ghoulies. He thinks that the medicine injection that these kids received might have saved their lives, since those who declined the school's injection died shortly after the bomb detonated. For the young people who haven't taken their second and third doses, the director plans to make immune-boosting jellies for them to eat. They can safeguard themselves in this manner until fresh injection vials are discovered. Eli and Josh are ready to enter the school that afternoon. Eli's strategy involves fooling the pupils with his barren triumph disguise while capturing Josh. Jaden, supposing the young guy to be the director, materializes when the man dons the mask and attacks him. Josh tries to assist the young man who flees away after realizing who he really is inside that mask. Eli was unable to fight as his abdomen was cut, and he passed away in his friend's arms. Sam tries to find out what's happening when the students begin to dizzy after consuming Michael's immunity-boosting drink. She then finds out that the principal is still consuming human flesh and is keeping Barry imprisoned in the closet so he can devour his arms and legs when she goes into the principal's office. The young woman learns that Michael wants to take over Glendale at that precise time, but she passes out before she can respond. Josh resolves to carry out his plan alone after Eli is defeated, and enters the school while posing as Baron Triumph. After looking around, he finds Sam, and then an explosion hits the couple. Angelica is one of the victims of the explosion that occurs when Michael attacks the Chermazon headquarters just before this calamity. In contrast to the other girls in her tribe, the guy saved the girl because she is crucial to his plot to rule the tribe. It will be Angelica's responsibility to launch a missile to destroy Glendale when he and his army have left, to make her obey his commands. Miss Crumble is held as a captive by the principal, who threatens to kill her if she disobeys his instructions. Josh and Sam head back to the mall after school to inform the others of Michael's plans. They were unable to hear after the explosion, so they had to use writing to communicate. Sam appeals for their assistance to stop the director from carrying out his plan after Karen declares that her friends must run in order to survive, after understanding what is about to happen. The tribe decides to leave out of fear of being eliminated, and Josh is the only one who volunteers to go with them on their mission to save the city. So they make the decision to go seek the Chermazons for assistance, where they run across Wesley and Turbo. A few hours have passed since the explosion, and the young people are gradually regaining their hearing. The quartet receives reinforcements while they devise a strategy to overthrow the director, and Josh has the bright idea of utilizing music to entice the ghoulies. He succeeds in organizing an army to combat Michael's men in this fashion. Josh intervenes in the conflict to save Angelica, and the director flees. The rocket needs to be disarmed next, and Angelica needs Miss Crumble's assistance for that. As Sam and Josh search for her, Baron Triumph unexpectedly shows up, catching them off guard. Josh searches for his teacher and fortunately gets to find her while Sam tries to divert him. After that, Josh runs to aid his friend and swings his sword at the principal. Suddenly, a strange entity starts to appear inside of him, but Josh this time hits his mark and kills the beast. The conflict between the students has ended as a result of Michael's departure, and Crumble has reached the missile. Angelica comes up with the idea of sending it into space so that the world won't be harmed, but the woman claims that there is no way to disarm it. The issue is that the shot can only be manually fired, so Crumble chooses to give her own life in order to save her students. Angelica, on the other hand, vows to stick by her buddy and claims she won't let her down. The teacher then instructs Josh and Wesley to take the girl to a secure location after bidding the girl farewell. The woman launches the missile minutes later, and the explosion takes place far from Glendale. Crumble surprises everyone by appearing right next to Angelica as she laments the loss of her best friend. Now that everything has been resolved, Josh invites Sam to join his tribe. Sam declines and, along with Mona, takes over as the new boss of the school gang. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below, and if you like the video, like and subscribe for more, and see you next time.